your frustration seems to be more with how the Leafs are generating revenue. You aren't
No,
as
no, 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 no. My frustration is we're playing to the level of the Ottawa Senators. A 1 million person city has the same budget cap as us. Arizona played in a 4,000 seat college
you're you're
stadium.
you're ridiculous.
No, no, I'm absolutely correct. The Yankees and the Dodgers are doing it correctly, and the Leafs ought to do that.
Bum 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 bum
I'm
bum
gonna
bum bum
fight 'em
bum
off.
bum
A
bum
7 nation army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. Back and forth through my mind, behind a cigarette.
Jason, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Greg. How's the center of the universe doing?
Doing okay. I mean, thank you for asking. It's been a little bit rainy, but now God has turned his face towards us, so it's absolutely beautiful here in Toronto, at least for the time being. And we, of course, here in Toronto are somewhat watching the Montreal Canadiens do pretty well in the semifinals. Come
Well,
close.
if you consider 12 and 13 shots a game pretty well, sure.
Right, right, exactly. So, we do not have any sort of natural affinity in favor of Montreal, but still, you have to recognize that they are an exciting team. They're doing well, and otherwise, we are dealing with our amateur, once suspended GM who is trying to publish stories saying the most recent one being that he and Matt Sundin had a very productive Zoom telephone call with Austin Matthews. So, anyways, that is the state
Didn't
of Toronto.
didn't he go out to Arizona? I thought he flew out to Arizona to
The yeah,
grovel at the feet.
one would have thought, and perhaps that's coming. My guess is that Austin Matthews probably waved them off along the lines of, guys, come on, I need to train. I don't want you guys down here. So, anyways, a Zoom meet it is, and so
Or or he didn't want them showing at the homeowners association meeting where he's pulling his pants down in front of the homeowners association president trying to
that's
lobby
right.
for a new fence.
That poor woman security guard who knew him actually. So, oh my goodness gracious. I mean, he's just a hulking mass of 6'3", drunk, mooning you. Intimately. So, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, but I guess our two teams are similarly just a hot mess. But in terms of this, why don't we deal with my hot mess first? As
Yeah.
you know, Craig Berube is out, and about time. He had a system that the Stars did not take to. Austin Matthews was not really into it. Willie Stiles was not really into it. Mo Riley, of course, collapsed as an offensive defenseman, and so hopefully he's going to come back. And it was more than amusing that I saw that Edmonton actually spoke with Berube. I don't know what they think they're going to do with him, but yeah, I'm just hopeful that Bruce Cassidy or I don't know Quinville or someone is
Well,
going to come and save us.
well, Quenville's not leaving Anaheim now. He's behind the bench of a young and up and coming team, and it allows him to keep his tan up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, why
So
would you
he's
leave the
not.
Ducks? They're exciting.
Yeah, no, like absolutely, and Anaheim is not going to be a hotbed of people asking questions.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I'm sure his press relations there are going to be much more favorable than they were probably in Chicago and would be in Toronto for sure.
I'm going to ask your opinion. So my opinion of him is not particularly favorable, but anyways, there was an article saying the Leafs met with Mike Gillis. He pitched them to be the president and didn't get the position or whatever. And then most of the article was him defending the fact that the Leafs simply weren't a good fit for him. Mike Gillis, is he
I
an effective executive?
Well, he was fantastic. I mean, he was at the head of the ship here when they went to the Cup when the Canucks went to the Cup in 2011. He was always. I mean, a lot of the sort of analytics or health provisions like food, diet, sleep patterns, all that kind of sort of stuff that now I think is relatively standard for a lot of teams, a lot of successful teams in the NHL. He was ahead of the curve doing that in Vancouver here, like in the early 2000s and or late 2000s and early 2010s
Right.
when they were having some of their greatest successes. So,
Right.
I thought he was effective. He wasn't particularly good at um, like I guess the drafts weren't particularly strong here, but he also made a lot of moves trading picks to acquire guys, whether those were successful or not. And all the scouting, I mean, I think the GMs end up bearing a lot of the brunt if the scouting departments are not strong and their drafts are not strong. ultimately it's the GMs who the buck stops there, right? So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they weren't particularly strong drafts, and there's a few trades. I mean, again, like trading away a second round pick for 2 months of Derek Waugh or Derek Roy as a second or third line center didn't pan out.
Right.
But the tenure here came to an end, I think, because he was going to the Aquilinis and saying, "Hey, we've got to move on from the Sedins. We got to move on from this era if we're gonna we got to do a rebuild or a retool on the fly."
Right.
And the Aquilinis were addicted to playoff revenue, and uh, there hasn't been a steady stream of playoff revenue since then. Same thing happened with Linden. Like in 2018, Linden was kind of saying the same thing,
Right.
and like they ended up getting rid of him and going with Benning because Benning's telling the Aquilinis what they want to hear, which is, "Hey, we can fix this on the fly." And they had one playoff run with Benning. I think that was the bubble year when just about everybody made the playoffs, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was, yeah. I mean, it was. I've always thought pretty highly of him. I think part of my Gillis's issue is he thinks very highly of himself,
Ah.
which I don't think is unusual at that level. The guys who are GMs. I mean, I think Jim Rutherford here in Vancouver thinks pretty highly of himself. I don't think there's too many guys who rise to the level of GM in or presidents of hockey operation in the NHL are lacking in self confidence.
Yeah. Brian Burke, I guess, would be a notable
Oh,
exception.
yeah, he
So
was also in Vancouver.
yeah, yeah, of course.
So
So okay, so let's continue on with your team. So you guys have made some what appear to be good moves. So that's great. So Ryan Johnson, who you
well,
are advocating
yeah, I mean,
for, and
yeah,
also
yeah.
Malhotra.
Well, we don't know about what's going on with Malhotra, right? Like he
Ah,
still hasn't been named as the coach. Like if he's not named as the coach, I think everybody here would be stunned.
okay.
And I don't know if some of the delay is tied to like the Canucks have the third pick overall.
Right.
They're tied to or they're known to think very highly of Caleb Malhotra, who, based on the last name, you might have surmised is Manny Malhotra's son.
Right.
So there's some question as to, hey, can a father-son combination exist in on an NHL team? Would there be sort of, particularly as a, if they draft Caleb Malhotra third, there's going to be kind of the, hey, he's the savior of the franchise, or he's the first piece in this rebuild,
Right.
and you've got a brand new NHL coach, will be his first sort of stint as a full-time head coach. I mean, he's been the coach of the Abbotsford Canucks for the last couple of years, led them to the Calder Cup last year, a fantastic sort of run that reminded everybody of the 2011 Canucks almost Stanley Cup. But I think he'd be he's demonstrated that he's able to bring along like prospect talent, help those guys achieve their sort of best forms of themselves in last year's run. So he's got that, being able to coach young guys.
Right.
He's apparently very detail oriented. You like everybody here, like Ryan Johnson's talked about it, but even like a lot of the pundits that have or sort of media guys here who have been out in Abbotsford, and they also know him from his playing days. Like I was listening to some stories about like back in the 2000, like when he was playing with the Canucks back in the like late 2000s, 2010s, like even during sort of summer skating sessions with a whole bunch of pros out there at a public rink out here in Vancouver, not a public, but a rink out in Vancouver. He was kind of the guy who was like coordinating the drills that they were doing during summer skating sessions. So from a relatively young age, like before he was a coach, he
Ah.
was kind of already taking on that kind of coaching, instructing, coordinating role.
It
And
doesn't
yeah,
seem like much of a dilemma for the Canucks because from what I've
well,
read,
they'll make it a dilemma.
San Jose is projected at least to go defenseman, and so like aren't there ample picks here at number three? Like Stenberg seems fantastic, and then if not, then a big old defenseman.
Oh yeah, but I mean the Canucks will find a way to make something that doesn't seem complicated complicated. I
Okay.
mean, in my book, I mean McKenna and Stenberg have been 1-2, right?
Right.
For most of the draft projection year, right?
Yep.
So if he falls to 3, I don't know why you're not running up to the same way that you ran up to the podium when Quinn Hughes fell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like they should
Yeah.
be running up to the podium and saying, like, hey, look at this. And again, like we're in sort of like pre-draft season where everyone's going to be throwing stuff at the wall. And again, McKenna and Stenberg are, I mean, you must be getting some of this in Toronto with McKenna, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
McKenna looks like the obvious choice, but hey, are we making a mistake if we don't take the big right shot D? Do you take Chase Reed? Do you not take Caleb Malhotra? He's been playing like fantastic hockey in Southern Ontario. I'm sure the media there was like, they've been blowing him up nationally. I'm sure in Southern Ontario it was maybe even more so.
Yeah.
Talking about what a fantastic playoff run he had. So if you need another big line center, if you're afraid you might be trading Austin Matthews, do you get a replacement?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like from everything I've been reading for like 6 months, it's McKenna or Stenberg,
Right.
or Stenberg or McKenna, like whichever one of the two guys you like better.
Right.
McKenna maybe is more dynamic, Stenberg is maybe more complete. But if either of those guys falls to 3, the Canucks should just be running up there. They shouldn't be going, oh, I mean, particularly now, like the Leafs could make an argument that, hey, we still got Austin Matthews, we still got William Nylander, we've got Matthew Nyes coming up. Like, we've got to try and keep this window open. And if you get a McKenna, does McKenna sort of play the Marner role? Or does Stenberg play the Marner role on that team? And then you have got another core 4, except 2 of them are younger. So you take Tavares out of the picture, you got Nyes. You take Marner out of the picture, you got Stenberg or McKenna. Hey, here's our new core 4. And Matthews and Nylander are not ancient.
Right.
But so I mean, the Leafs at least make that argument. For the Canucks, like, it's pretty bare here in the cupboard.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be like, hey, we need a center. Well, you need a center, you need a right shot D, you need a scoring winger. So it should be who's the best player available. And to me, it's going to either make, from what I've been reading, again, I'm not like a prospect guy who's like poring over tape of all these guys, but from what you've been reading, and you read a bunch of different opinions, it's McKenna or Stenberg.
Well, the Canucks, I know that you guys are far away, but you look at San Jose, you look at Montreal, and you got four first rounders for Quinn. And so, that's very useful. And then if you add this number 3 or what have you, you might not be that far away.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's everybody points to Montreal, San Jose, Anaheim, and everyone's looking at where they're at now and ignoring for the moment that, hey, they've been bad for, like, Montreal was bad for what, like 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, they've been stockpiling picks, and Montreal's gotten a little bit fortunate. I mean, like, when they traded Pacioretty and got Suzuki, did they think Suzuki was going to be a top 10 center in the league? No, I think they probably thought they were getting a first round pick and a guy who would probably slot in as a number 2 center.
Yeah.
And he's blossomed. So they got a bit lucky. I mean, they've hit gold with Hudson as a 3rd round pick, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, the Canucks might be able to do that, but I mean, the Habs also have 1st overall Slavkovsky.
Yep.
They've got 5th overall Demidov, who, again, there's another gift who kind of fell to them because other teams passed on him for whatever reason. They've got Reinbacher coming. They got Michael Hodge coming.
Leading scorer at the World Juniors.
Like, Cole Caulfield was 15th,
a
15th pick, right? So they hit there, but that's 5 picks that are 15 and above, and a couple of them are top 5 picks that have blossomed. I mean, again, they made a great trade with Newhook, and maybe that's the kind of thing like Newhook has blossomed where he didn't maybe have that same kind of role in Colorado. I mean, he was effective in Colorado, but he didn't play the same role. Like, they've had a number of years to accumulate picks. And again, they've made good trades. They traded a couple 1st round picks to get Noah Dobson. So they've moved up their timeline by sort of monetizing pick assets. And that's, again, what all the talk here in Vancouver is, hey, we've got to be accumulating as many picks as we can so we can replicate that and strike and either make those picks to stock the shelves or move picks to go and acquire somebody.
Right. Well, okay. So we talked about Vancouver. You guys have got some options there, and you've just done a dive into Montreal. So let's talk about them. So Montreal, in my view, just showing far better than I thought that they would. I mean, they got through the 1st round, Tampa Bay, which I don't think is a slouch. Yes, they had their problems, including, of course, Hedman not being there, Kucherov being hurt, etc. But still, serious team. Buffalo, they tamed the dragon there because Buffalo, I don't know, they caught fire. They were good team, and they caught Carolina off guard, spanked them in game 1. But true colors, I suppose, showing through. Like, they're what are they doing? Are they playing on the perimeter? Really, they can't get inside. I mean, certainly their shot total is dismal.
Oh, for Montreal?
Yeah.
I mean, they've had back-to-back games with like 12 and 13 shots.
Right.
And in game 7 against Tampa, they had 9 shots. I mean, they were extremely fortunate to win that game 7.
Right.
They were probably fortunate to beat Buffalo in game 7. Buffalo was the better team for the last 40 minutes of that game.
Okay.
And most of the overtime.
Right.
So they've been fortunate to win their 2 game 7s. Now, they've played really well, and they're excited. And when they're on, they're exciting to watch. But I mean, like, it'll be interesting to see, like, what the result is. Like, are they in game 4? Like, they haven't, what are they, 2-5 at home in the playoffs? So they've got this great intro. They got the torch coming in. They're playing on all the sort of history of the Montreal Canadiens, trying to bring some of those Forum vibes over to the Bell Center. Like, it's a great show, but they're not being successful at home, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I don't think Martin St. Louis seems to be aware as to why. I mean, we got to shoot more. Like, yeah, okay. You also have to shoot more on the net. Like, you can fire 80 shots a game, but if you only hit the net 12 times, they're not shooting 80 times a game. But I mean, like, and Carolina is a stubborn defensive team, and I mean, everybody talks about how boring Carolina is to watch, but they're a little bit more exciting than they were the last couple of years. And I think the difference, like, Stankoven is looking dynamic. I mean, that Stankoven Hall Blake line has probably been like one of the best lines in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, I think Taylor Hall had like 5 or 6 shots yesterday. So
well, and he's playing out of his. I mean, he might know this is his last best chance, or it's not his last chance, but this might be his best chance.
yeah,
Particularly now with what looks like is happening in the West.
right.
Like, if you're not going to have the beast of Colorado waiting for you in the Cup final, like, Carolina would probably feel pretty good about their chances against Vegas.
Before we get to Colorado, let's just finish up with Montreal. So Lane Hudson, I tell you, 5'9", and the kid is terrific. I mean, he's terrific. I don't believe in 5'9" defensemen. I realize 5'10" is, you know,
I have not heard you say that all year.
I know that 5'10" is only 1 inch taller, but anyways, you know, 5'9". So Ehlers scored a goal in game 2, and that was a ragtag shinny, you know, stick check by both Lane Hudson and Cole Caulfield. Caulfield, I think, is 5'7" or something. Anyways, so that was a goal that shouldn't have even been a shot. Ehlers should have been lying on the ground, you know, head taken off, etc. But what can you do? You've got 2 guys who only stick check. So I guess occasionally you run into that, but otherwise, I honestly don't know how this kid is managing to be responsible in the defensive end or what have you against these behemoths. So I know everybody takes a run at him and whatnot, but yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll continue to be lucky.
I don't know if it's lucky. I mean, we saw the same thing here with, like, again, Quinn Hughes is, I think, 1, maybe 2 inches taller than Hudson, but I mean, they're both such dynamic skaters and effective skaters. They can control the puck. And what Quinn Hughes did, I mean, he improved like each year defensively, and you saw it against, like, when he's with Minnesota playing against Colorado. He's playing like 28 to 30 minutes a night, and he's effective defensively because he understands positionally where he has to be, and that's a big part of the game. You can be 6'3", but if you're out of position, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're 5'9" and slight, you can still get your body in passing lanes. You can still get your stick. I mean, these guys got such amazing hand-eye coordination. I mean, they can get their sticks in there. I mean, yeah, would he be like more effective if he was 6 feet tall and 200 pounds? Sure, but what would he be sacrificing in terms of his skating ability and his, like, is he going to have the same skill set if he's 20 pounds heavier and 4 inches taller? If he is,
He'd
I
be
think his name is Landon Dupont, and he's going to be the first overall pick next year.
Right. Yeah, that kid is tearing it up. So yeah, but yeah, so Lane Hudson, what a pleasant story, and good for them.
I can hear your enthusiasm. What a pleasant story.
Yeah.
I wish we had him in Toronto.
Yeah.
Well,
under Craig Berube, he wouldn't have played.
Yeah. So there's a prospect in the 2026 draft who plays for the Vancouver Giants by the name of Ryan Lynn, who, like, I've heard some of the sort of prospect gurus sort of talk about, like, he kind of, I think some projections have him in like the 20s because he's a smaller, sort of more slight kind of player.
Right.
But, like, I think Craig Button, I think Jason Buchler are both like going, hey, like, if he's available at like 14 or 15, and they were responding to some questions like Canuck Media here going, hey, like, if Ryan Lynn's available at 24, should the Canucks be looking at him? And they're both like, well, if he's available at 24, everyone's making a huge mistake.
Right.
And he fits the mold of what, like, the new sort of smaller defensemen who are proving to be somewhat effective in the new NHL. And, like, he'll probably go like in the sort of early teens, and
right.
that's what his skill set, based on, again, like, I'm going by what everybody else is, like, sort of all the pro scouting guys are saying, like he's got the skill set to be a power play 1 guy, and everybody's hunting for those kind of players. I mean, again, Lane Hudson went in the 3rd round. I think his brother went, the Cole Hudson's with Washington, went in the 2nd round. And I think and he's not much bigger, I think, than Lane. I think he's a little bit taller. But, I mean, Washington's got him. Washington probably felt comfortable giving up John Carlson to Anaheim. one, they got a draft pick. They got out of whatever the Reds left of his contract. And they've got Cole Hudson coming up. It frees up time for Cole Hudson to maybe match what his brother's done.
Right. Yeah. 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 And I've heard that Celebrini's, maybe you're the one who told me Celebrini's younger brother actually might be better. So that's pretty phenomenal.
Oh no, I don't think that wasn't me. I don't know who said that, but
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think anybody's saying his brother's better than him. But I mean, I know he's a Canuck prospect, but I don't think. I mean, it'd be nice if he happens to come up. Like that's. But what's going on in Toronto? I mean, is all you're hearing is it's going to be McKenna?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the main argument is McKenna and Stenberg. Do you want someone who's more polished and responsible, perhaps with a lower ceiling? Or is it the safe?
Someone who can talk to Mats in Swedish?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Who knows? I think the fact that we have Chayka running this bloody thing, it's just deflated everybody. Who knows? Like hopefully they choose somebody who's, you know, deemed to be in the top 10 as opposed to going rogue. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was watching something the other day where uh, somebody was talking about whether or not Malhotra might even go number one.
Oh, yeah,
And I mean, I mean, the downside, if the Leafs don't take McKenna, I feel bad for whoever they take because there'll be an immediate sort of hate on
yeah,
from Leafs Nation for whoever they take because they're not McKenna.
right, right.
So who knows what they're going to do? But I don't think the Leafs trade out of. I mean, unless the Leafs got like a king's ransom, I don't think they trade out of one.
Yeah,
And they're probably taking McKenna, and that to me that sets up like the interesting scenario at 2 because the Sharks are so obviously in need of a defenseman,
right.
but the next best player is probably Ivor Stenberg. So if the Leafs went Stenberg, then like the Sharks are going to get inundated with people wanting calls for McKenna. I think the Sharks are going to get inundated with people wanting to move up to 2
Right.
to get Stenberg. Except I'm wondering because the Rangers have been linked to Malhotra because I think they thought Malhotra was going to fall to 5, no problem, and now Malhotra's got such buzz, and he's kind of linked to the Canucks. Like I'm wondering if the Rangers might be interested in moving up to number 2. I keep hearing sort of like Braden Schneider, who's there, sort of 24, 25-year-old defenseman who they refused to trade in a couple other deals. That now they'd want to move on from him, and they could throw that in and get number 2 if they wanted to move up and get Malhotra. Because if
Yeah,
they're not signing Trocheck, there's so many. What's interesting about this draft is like it seemed like a month and a half, 2 months ago, it sounded like it was a no-brainer. You got McKenna, you got Stenberg. Which of the 2 do you like? And then here's these 4 big defensemen. A couple are right shot, a couple are left shot. Like so, there's your 3 through 6, and then there's Malhotra and Bork and Lawrence, like these big centers that are going to go 7, 8, 9, 10, like somewhere in that range. And now it's like, hey, it's a toss-up. Like all these scouts are kind of sitting there going like the margins between these guys are so razor thin, and none of us are going to be sitting in on their interviews. Like, does somebody like blow some executive team away with their interview?
right, right.
And I mean, Malhotra seems to be. I mean, again, like the advantage of being a kid of an NHLer and maybe being more comfortable understanding what the locker room is going to be like, having that kind of coaching, it'd be different than having like your agent say, "Hey, here's how you answer these questions," versus, "Hey, here's what my dad said," and my dad played 12 years in the NHL.
With you.
Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
might be some of the few kids in the world that listen to their parents.
Perhaps. Yeah. Well, recently, I guess Montreal and the 2 other teams did not take Shane Wright, and that worked out to be absolutely the correct call, right? So I don't know. Don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
I mean,
I still think Shane Wright is. I mean, again, Shane Wright got dissected. I think that's happening. It's happening even more so now than even like 3, 4 years ago, where like everybody, of course, are now experts. Like you can download games from Sweden and watch, and everybody can sort of pick apart. Oh, here's Stenberg's game, and like, I mean, and we're seeing it dissect. I mean, look what's happening with like Vigo Bjork is kind of like storming up the draft charts. Like he was
but
kind
Shane
of like
Wright,
a
Shane Wright,
Oh no, no, but I'm saying like Shane Wright could still end up being like a good number 2, number 3 center.
he's a
Now,
3C.
again, that's not what you're looking for with a first overall pick.
Right.
And Slavkovsky is turning into
A
what
1C.
looks to be like he's justifying his first overall pick.
Yeah.
Who went number 2? That was it. Nemec went number 2 that year. I think I can't remember. I'd have to look back and see.
Yeah.
But like there's another guy who's going to be on the trade block. Like, does
Right.
somebody go and offer New Jersey some picks for that. Like I'd be surprised that Calgary is a team that has a whole bunch of draft picks. If I was Calgary, I'd be going to like New Jersey saying, "Hey, you're bereft of draft picks. You need to stock your shelves. You can't pay Simon Nemec. You got Luke Hughes, who's going to be your PP1 guy. Dougie Hamilton's still there. You can't move him
Right.
because his contract's too big. So are you going to keep playing a disgruntled Nemec on your third pairing and not give him any power play time, or can we send you like a late first and a second or something like that for him, and they can accelerate there? Like they could draft defensemen in the next 3 drafts with all the picks they've got, or they could say, hey, we'll sacrifice a couple of those picks and get a guy who's already in the NHL, has a lot of upside. He'd be a top 4 on their team for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of New Jersey, I just read an article saying, I think it was today, Nico Hischier, there's, they're wondering whether or not he's going to get re-upped or whether he'll get traded because I don't know if New Jersey's up against the cap, but his ask may be a little too high. And so he's 27 years old, and they're saying that his market would be fantastic.
He's ancient. This kind of blows me away. Like all these players now are playing until like 35. Like look, Tavares has been an effective number 2C in Toronto.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, when he's making $10 million a year, people are upset about his production. When
11, yeah.
Well, no, but when now that he's making 6 as a
4,
number 2C, 4, okay, well even better.
4.5.
So
yeah.
he's looking like people. So his production was roughly the same
Yes.
from when he was making 10.5, 11 million bucks a year, and when he's making 4, I thought it was 6, but 4 million bucks a year. Like when he's making 11, people think he's a bum.
Yeah.
When he's making like 4, he's fantastic.
Oh, he's captain Toronto for sure. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
We're grateful. We're grateful for him.
Yeah. So, but that's, I mean, you look at, so a guy like Hischier who's 27,
Yes.
and again, he's never going to be a 90-point guy. But I mean, a team like Minnesota, if they could swing a deal, like there'd be a guy he could fit in as their number 1C. You bump Eriksson Ek down to 2. All of a sudden, like, hey, we look like we maybe can compete more with Colorado.
Right. What's Quinn Hughes going to sign for?
Competing with Colorado. Quinn Hughes?
What's he going to sign for?
I mean,
higher or lower than Kaprizov?
Well, I think if he wants to play on a team that has a chance to win a cup in Minnesota, he'd probably have to take less.
Yeah, of course.
You can't have. I mean, you look at what's happening in Edmonton.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, Draisaitl's making what 14 plus, and McDavid signed for like a deal at 12.6 or something like that.
Yep.
And like 27 million bucks at the what's that? 27 million bucks is going to be like a couple years from now. That'll be less than 20% of your cap.
$8 million for Jarry and Jack Campbell. $8 million.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know what they're going to do there. I mean, that's like Edmonton's. Like I mean, as fascinating as it's going to sort of be, see what Toronto does. Like Edmonton, to me, is going to be fascinating what they do in the off season, right? Because I mean, you've got your 2 stars coming out saying,
exactly,
like, this team isn't good enough, and it's like, okay, and they've got. I looked at Puckpedia this morning. It's like their projected cap space next year is 16.5 million, but who's out there to sign?
So
maybe Alex Tuch, but I mean Alex Tuch probably takes a discount to stay in Buffalo. He likes Buffalo.
Let's not leave Edmonton quite yet for just on this issue.
Let's not go to Edmonton.
Yeah, let's not leave Edmonton quite yet. But so McJesus has been slandered on this podcast by one of us. So you were heated under the collar quite recently about the shoddy treatment given to Chris Knobloch, who of course now is unemployed. And so that was a surprise that nobody saw.
It was shoddy treatment by McDavid. And it's not slander if it's true. That's my understanding of the slander law.
And so
it was shoddy treatment of Knobloch before.
Yes.
And what Edmonton did to him, like I don't know why anybody would want to go coach in Edmonton with Stan Bowman there running that ship.
And you're referring to the fact that absolutely unprompted, McDavid went out of his way to praise John Cooper quite extensively.
Well, I think it's okay to praise another coach. But when it's a direct comparison to the coaching that your team is receiving,
right.
Like what happened to like keep it in the room, boys?
Yeah.
Like that. He seems to have like abandoned that, and I know they bring that kind of stuff. Like whenever he doesn't want to answer something, he'll bring it up like, oh, well, that's an internal discussion, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Which is what it's a standard answer that most of those guys are trained to give, and makes sense why they would do that. But I mean, it was intentional. I don't know if he thought Cooper was going to get fired and be available for them. But why would Cooper? I mean, I guess Cooper might want to come and coach in Edmonton. And I mean, McDavid had firsthand experience with Cooper's coaching
Yeah, for
at
sure.
the Four Nations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
At the Four Nations and then at the Olympics. So he's like,
As we can see with John Cooper, there's only so much that a coach can do when a roster is constructed a certain way. And the coaches, unless they happen to also like be working hand in hand with the GM and the hockey ops people in terms of who they're bringing in, like you look at Knobloch, I mean, like both Connor and Leon are sitting there going, like, hey, we're not as good as we were 2 years ago. And like some of that they can sit there and say, are they not as good because of Knobloch's coaching systems? Like what's changed with his systems? What's changed is the players that are there. Like they've given up the Ryan McLeods, the Warren Fogels, um, those some of those kind of pieces.
Right.
And I mean, Matthew Savoy for Ryan McLeod looks like it could be a good long-term move, but I mean, for a win now team, like maybe Savoy's going to provide some more offense. But I mean, they let Broberg and I mean, we talked about Broberg and Holloway. I think that's where all of this sort of started falling apart. You spend all this time and energy bringing those guys up through Bakersfield, getting them trained up. They're starting to finally show at the NHL, and you let them walk away for less money than you're giving to guys like Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner, and hoping that those 30 or 30 plus veterans are going to sort of put you over the edge. And that's been 2 years in a row they've done that now.
I'm shocked that Stan Bowman still has a job. I'm
Well,
shocked.
I'm shocked he got the job in the first place, but
Yeah, but after the Jarry trade, and so Draisaitl and McDavid are clearly unhappy with him. So I am just shocked that he continues to be employed. Is he there just to do the draft and then he's gone?
well, I don't think so. I mean, he's conducting the coach search, isn't he?
I don't know
I mean,
what he's doing.
he's the one reaching out to Bruce Cassidy. I mean, it seems like this is all being laid at the feet of Knobloch, and like,
Right, which offends you deeply. So Bruce
well,
Cassidy,
well,
Bruce
I
Cassidy,
mean,
what is Vegas doing? Like, so what is this? Is this a Vulcan mind trick? Like, what's going on?
well, if I, well, what was one of the reports that came out, and I don't know if this is true or not, was there's some belief that they want Cassidy to come back and be their coach next year. They needed something to
Is that
kickstart this team. Which I mean, you look at what's happening now. Can you sort of question it? This isn't my story. This is I think Elliot Freeman reported this. A couple other people reported the
I think
idea
that's
that
probably what's happened. But Jay, come on. I mean, you and I know as well as anyone. No, I mean, they have terminated the contract. They've breached
no, they
it.
didn't. They didn't terminate the contract. They've relieved him of his coaching duties. He's still under contract. That's why teams need to have permission to talk to him.
There's no way they can force him to do that. No.
Well, they can. It just goes against what the usual process is in these cases, right?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
I mean, I think the NHL
Constructive
Coaches
dismissal?
Association has come along and sort of said, hey, like this isn't right. Like you can't
No.
hold a guy's career up. But if they're sitting there and saying to Cassidy, like, hey, we want you to come back and coach next year. We needed to kick these guys in the ass to get them going. And can you doubt what the strategy is now? Because it appears to have worked. Now they might, in hindsight, go, if that was the plan, they might go, well, if they're playing this well, not under Bruce, maybe we shouldn't bring Bruce Cassidy back,
Right.
and then they would let him go. But why not? Why would you want? I mean, who are your two bigger rivals? Anaheim and San Jose now. But I mean, two of their rivals in the Pacific are Edmonton and L.A.
Right.
Do you want to let Cassidy go to Edmonton and L.A.?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Like, Boston let him go to Vegas because, well, that's another conference. Boston let Jim Montgomery sort of go and have a conversation with St. Louis and get hired like within 2 weeks of being dismissed as a coach there
Right.
because it's different conference. I
Right.
mean, would I want Bruce Cassidy knowing everything he knows about Vegas's team and players and all that, moving up to Edmonton and saying, hey, I know how to beat these guys?
Yeah.
I wouldn't if
Yeah.
I was a team. I mean, it makes sense to me why they wouldn't. Now, it's completely contrary to how all these coaching hires have worked in the past.
Yeah. I don't
I just,
I
yeah.
don't think that Vegas is playing 3D or 4D chess here. I think they're just being silly, and I don't think that there's an end game here. They're saying no for the sake of saying no. I don't believe that they're being clever whatsoever.
Oh, it's transparent. It's not clever. There's nothing sneaky about it. They're just like, I mean, what they should do is say, yeah, no, we're not going to let him go and coach. If the Detroit Red Wings came along and said, hey, we'd like to talk to Cassidy, they might say, yeah, go ahead,
Right, right,
right? Because different conference, and we'd
yeah,
only see Bruce Cassidy in the finals.
right. And Detroit's awful, so yeah,
Well, they're not awful, but I
yeah.
mean, that whole division, like I feel bad for Toronto because I don't know how Toronto's going to compete in that division for the next few years.
Yep, you're right.
Because I mean,
Stacked.
Ottawa's coming up, Montreal's coming up. You said Buffalo's coming up.
Yep,
Boston managed to retool on the fly. Detroit just missed the playoffs. I mean, they've had a couple bad Marches, or they would have been a playoff team.
Yep,
Like that, and Florida's going to be better next year.
for sure they are. And Tampa
Yeah.
still has it going. Victor Hedman's
Oh,
going to be back. So,
yep. So,
um,
but I mean, just before we leave Edmonton, like I don't know what, I mean, on the Knobloch front, I'm not saying Knobloch was like the perfect coach. And I mean, part of the backlash on Knobloch was starting the year, he's like, hey, we got to give more people more ice time. We got to dial back Connor and Leon's ice time. And then when push came to shove, it was always like, oh, McDavid and Draisaitl are playing 24 minutes a night, and you got third and fourth liners playing 9 or 10 minutes a night.
that's right.
And you don't see, I mean, that's you look at what Vegas is doing right now, or even Colorado, what they were doing, Carolina, like the teams that are successful, Montreal even, like their third and fourth liners are playing productive minutes, playing like bigger minutes. They're playing like 12, 13, 14 minutes a night.
That's right.
They're getting into the flow of games. They're feeling like they're contributing. Everyone on all four of those teams, I think everyone is feeling like
Yeah.
we're a part of the team. I think in Edmonton, I mean, like when you've got guys who are not playing more than 10 minutes a night, and they're maybe seeing 2 or 3 minutes in the third periods, like how do you feel like you're really a part of the team and really contributing to the team's success or not?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. I
So,
agree.
so, I mean, and so that is a coaching aspect that, but I mean, if Knobloch's also like, yeah, okay, I want to give these guys more ice time, but I also want to win, and who gives me my best chance at winning? Like, do you
Right.
throw McDavid every time there's an offensive zone faceoff? Like, you throw those two guys out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, they're playing. He's playing them together. I just don't know what Edmonton does. 'Cause I mean, even with 16.5 in cap space, who's like, there aren't a lot of free agents out there who are going to make a difference. Um, they got four UFAs. I mean, they traded draft capital for Dickinson, for Connor Murphy from Chicago. Both those guys are UFAs. They're probably due a raise. Probably 3 million would be the floor, I think, for both those guys. They'd probably get more than that in free, whether they want to stay in Edmonton. If they got only $3 million, if they got a bump up to 4 million, wouldn't be unreasonable. Roslovic, they signed to a really good deal last year at 1.5. Like he's due an increase. Is he going to? He'll go to the market again and see if he can get something better. Kasperi Kapanen was one of their better players in the playoffs. He's due an increase.
Yeah.
Just doing quick math. If those guys were 3, 3, 2.5, 2.5 each, or for the Chicago guys, $3 million, Roslovic and Kapanen, if they got bumps, and these are small bumps up to 2.5, and they decide to stay, that's $11 million of their 16 million 5 in cap space. And that would be bringing back the team that Connor and Leon are saying, hey, we're not good enough.
Edmonton is royally screwed.
Well, they don't have
So
draft. They don't have draft capital either. They don't have their
yeah,
first in 26 or 27.
they're
I think they've got
royally
a couple
screwed.
seconds. Yeah. So I mean, they're not really in a position to trade for assets
So let me ask you, because we weren't able to solve it last time, and I'll just put you on the spot. Solve the goalie problem for me. Go.
in
Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Yes. And I
If
need
I'm
you to
if
I
I'm
need you
if
to wait, I'm going to put parameters. So you have up until Christmas, because I'm not even going to give you up to the trade deadline in the new year. I'm going to give you till Christmas. I'm going to give you past the US Thanksgiving. You solve the goalie problem for me. Go. Is
well,
it Ingram? Is that your solution? Ingram?
well, are you answering for me? Or are you going to let me answer?
Go ahead.
But
I know you have
Well,
no options. Go
well,
ahead.
no, my solution, and I think I raised this last time, and it came out subsequently that Detroit is looking to move on from Sebastian Cossa, who is a goalie in the AHL, who's ready to be playing in the NHL. Their ask is apparently a second round pick. If I'm Edmonton and I'm looking and going like, if we can get a top goalie prospect who's ready for the NHL, like you look at what Jesper Wallstedt did with Minnesota, he basically took over the number one goalie position in the playoffs.
Okay.
Like Kosa and Wallstedt went in the same draft. They're not that far apart. Kosa just hasn't had the NHL experience. If I'm Edmonton, I would be rolling the dice a little bit and saying, we've got Ingram who played pretty well. I mean, I don't think that, I mean, was he the reason that they lost this year? Probably not. But he's a 1B probably goalie. If you bring Kosa in, if you give up one of your second round picks in 26 or 27, let's say it's 27, kick it down the road a little bit, and you bring in this guy and you give him a bit of a run with it. They've got a guy in the AHL as well themselves, a guy named, I think it's Connor Unger, who like he was playing really well in the AHL. Then they, for some unknown reason, bumped him down to the ECHL. I think he had a bad month or so, so they're like, oh, well, he needs more seasoning. Who knows what they're thinking there? But bring these guys up and give them a shot and see what happens. Because there isn't anybody else out there. I know you're like probably like a couple of these other guys who think that, like, well, let's just go trade for Hellebuck. Well, there's not the draft capital or the players to go get Hellebuck.
Okay,
So,
so I
like
accept what you're saying.
on paper, that looks fantastic.
I
Like,
accept
hey,
what
if
you're
I can get a
saying.
Hart and Vezina winning goalie on my team,
I accept what you're saying. So they go with Sebastian and they go with Ingram. But you've left the biggest puzzle piece unanswered. And maybe the answer just simply is the obvious, which is you can't do anything about it. How do you get the $8 million sitting on Jarry and Jack Campbell? How do you get that closer to zero? Because
well,
that is an absolute weight.
Campbell's a sunk cost, right? Like
Okay.
they've already bought him out, right?
Right. So
Jari,
he's a million and a half. Okay. So how do you
yeah.
get the
So, but
6.5?
well, who's taking that contract? You'd have to attach a pick to it to get them. Like Detroit's not going to take Jari back in that deal and
With
just take a
Vancouver.
second.
Vancouver.
Vancouver? Why would Vancouver doesn't? Vancouver's got
You've got
Demko,
tons of cap space.
but Vancouver's got Demko.
Oh, I
Vancouver,
realize that.
but okay, but again, I go back to what Edmonton's draft capital is.
Yeah.
Like you would have to attach a draft pick
Yeah.
to that deal to get that off the books. And this isn't really they have 16.5 in cap space. Like there isn't a free agent goalie out there that you're going to be able to go spend a bunch of money on unless Bobrovsky comes available. And I mean, what are they going to have to pay Bobrovsky? And is he going to go to Edmonton voluntarily? Like,
No, so I don't agree with what you're saying here because you have 2 years with McDavid. That's all you have. You have basically 1 year. You have 1 year with McDavid, and then he's not going to re-sign with you. And then you have to figure out what you want to do. So during this 1 year, any part of the 6.5 you can get is actually extraordinarily valuable. So Vancouver and San Jose and whoever else was at the bottom of the list, should be the ones who are quite excited. Like, how much is 6.5 for 2 years worth to Vancouver? You're not going to use it anyways. You can throw the guy in the AHL.
but what draft pick
How much
is
would you ask
Vancouver
for? How much
getting?
would you ask for?
What
Two
for six point
seconds?
for 6.5 million?
2 seconds?
But they've got 2 seconds, one in 26 and one in 27. Then they have
No,
no
no.
picks.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
don't they need those picks? They specifically didn't trade their second round pick at the trade deadline this year. I think with the idea that they could either use it before the draft to acquire somebody. So are they going to use it just to free up 6.5 in space when there isn't really a lot of people around
But wait a
to
second.
sign?
2 seconds would be acceptable for Vancouver to take 6.5 for 2 years that they don't
Well,
really care about?
no, I'm if that's less of what would Vancouver be willing to take, then can Edmonton really afford with their draft capital to give up 2 seconds
I
just
agree.
to free up 6.5 in space in a year where there are not a lot of free agents worth spending the money on?
I don't disagree with anything except you're skirting around the issue, which is this. You have 1 year left with McDavid. And
Yeah.
then,
So
and then if
okay,
McDavid doesn't sign with you, then what you do is you do Quinn Hughes
no, but that's
2.0,
no, but that's my
and then you
that's
get all
my,
your draft picks back.
okay, but my point is this is why would you trade your 2 seconds to get off of Jerry so you don't bring an asset in? All you're doing is freeing up cash
Yes.
that doesn't help you ice a better team in a year where you can't use that cash to go sign people when you could use one of those assets, use one of the seconds to go get a young goalie who's on the cusp. Look at the goalies who are in the playoffs right now. Like Carter Hart was available for anybody to sign. There's other issues relating to him. But at the start of the year, he wasn't even in the NHL.
Right.
Colorado traded for their two goalies, Wedgwood and Blackwood, who were both in the NHL, but neither one of them were considered necessarily. Again, I think what did they give up for Blackwood? Like, was it a second rounder to San Jose?
Neither is
Um,
playing great right now, though.
Colorado or Carolina, half their year. Anderson's playing great now, but half their year was again an AHL goalie, Brendan Bussey, who set all sorts of records for wins at the start of a season or at the start of a career, a young goalie, and look who's shining in Montreal, Jakub Dobish. And their backup is a guy named Jacob Fowler, both of whom AHL goalies at the start of the year who are coming along and shining. So why wouldn't you, if you're Edmonton, say, instead of using both my seconds to get off of Jerry, freeing up cash that I have no place to spend, why wouldn't you use one of those assets to bring in Sebastian Cossa, who appears to be on the cusp of being Wallstat
Yeah.
or being Fowler or being Dobish, and give that guy an opportunity, and you've got your backup plan as Ingram, you figure that out. Then if by December it still isn't sorted out and you go, crap, we really need to go do something, then you go, okay, we're going to blow it all out and try and get a goalie and use whatever other draft capital we have.
Well, they did blow it out this past year. That's exactly, you've just described what they did do just a few months ago, except they somehow landed on Jerry. But yeah, I think, well, it's obvious that if you have a lot of cap space
Well,
available,
yeah,
you can weaponize that. That's useful. And you
yeah,
need to buy someone. I mean, it's not just the goalie at this point.
yeah.
You
But
need to
no,
buy someone in order to bolster McJesus.
okay, but that's you're proving my point here. And before we move on from the goalies, I'll go to another example. So Stuart Skinner, who was the Edmonton goalie, who was traded for Tristan Jarry, ended up going to Pittsburgh. And during the playoffs, he was supplanted by a former Vancouver Canuck who was acquired for, I think, a fourth round pick, Arthur Silovs, the Latvian sensation. He kind of supplanted Skinner as the goalie during the playoffs. Now, it didn't pan out to be like they didn't beat Philadelphia because Philadelphia was on a bit of a roll. But there's another young goalie who was acquired for a draft pick, like a third, fourth round draft pick, who then blossomed into a starting NHL goalie who could sort of play in the playoffs and played very well in the playoffs. So
Yeah, yeah.
the
The
idea that you need to
Philadelphia's
have some established guy, they went out and they've tried to go get Campbell, who was established, Jari, who was established. They traded off of Skinner, who took them to two cups in a row, and they brought in guys who weren't any better than Skinner. Why not go the different route that appears to be working for five or six other teams, all of whom are still in the playoffs?
Yeah, yeah. There's no way that's going to satisfy McJesus, but that's fine. I
Well,
mean, I don't
well,
disagree with you. They have no other
yeah.
options.
Well, then I think McJesus should go and say, like, who does he think? Like, if he's like, oh, go get me Hellebuck. Great, Connor. I'll trade Leon. Like, who else? Who are they going to be getting? Like a team that, I mean, if I was a team looking to pry Hellebuck out of Winnipeg, it might be Buffalo. Buffalo looks like they need goaltending. They've
Right.
got lots of young pieces that they could ship to Winnipeg that would help a retool, a rebuild there,
Yeah.
and send one of the goal, send Devin Levy and a couple of the young guys like maybe Peyton Krebs and one of the other guys, Noah Osland coming up. Send all those guys to Winnipeg for Hellebuck.
So the I think the absolute prediction is that they're going to lose McJesus and they're not going to be able to trade him because they're going to be scared to trade him and they're going to hope whatever. So he's going to play 2 more years in Edmonton, but he's going to walk. And so yeah, that I don't and they're just not going to be as good as they were the past couple of years.
Well, no, I agree. I don't know how they're going to improve this year
Nah,
because I don't know how they let. I mean, again, considering the draft capital they gave up to get Dickinson and Murphy in the door,
right,
and if they don't sign Dickinson, they still have a need for a number three center.
right. Yeah, they're
If
screwed.
they're going to continue to play McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line, or even if they play them as 1-2, they still need number three C because Nugent Hopkins wouldn't be. You wouldn't go McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, which would be fantastic in a fantasy hockey world if
Right.
that was your three centers down the middle. But who do you have playing the wing for him?
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're screwed. Stan Bowman should be shown the door for appearances at least. And then, but anyways, I guess it's useful for ownership to let Stan Bowman continue to take this flack, and
Well,
then
if your prediction is correct and they're going to end up losing McDavid either via a trade or when he walks out, Bowman will be there for a couple more years to oversee the exit of McDavid, and then they hire somebody else to come in with a clean slate and Draisaitl.
right, right, yeah, the ignominy of being the one presiding over the loss of McJesus. That's not a moniker. That's not a title you wish. But anyways, okay. So let's finish up with talking about Colorado and Vegas. It pains me. It just absolutely tears me in half that Colorado was up 3-0 and then they just blew it. But of course, McKinnon, McJesus Jr., just it doesn't look like he's
Well,
got two legs. So it like
McKinnon has a cup, so he's a little bit better than McJesus.
right, right. No, McKinnon is incredible. And
Yeah,
as you noted previously, I think he's plus 57 on the year. Like, I mean, just
that was a while
dominance.
back, but yeah,
Well, yeah, no, I think he ended the year at plus 57.
yeah.
So, but
Well,
anyways, he I wouldn't be surprised if he's suffered a fracture somewhere. Like it's just that's just nuts.
yeah. He blocked that shot during the game, and like he just looked hobbled
Yeah.
throughout, right?
Yeah.
So, that's and they're already down. Like Makar's obviously
Yeah.
like seriously injured,
Yes. Yes.
and we don't know if it sounds like it's his arm or his shoulder or something. But I mean,
He still
uh,
played 24 minutes or something.
oh yeah, well these guys are unbelievable. Like, well, did you see the list of like I think Dallas's injuries? And there's guys playing with like Minnesota, same thing. Like, oh yeah, like fractured ribs.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, when Philadelphia finished their series against Carolina, And like everyone was like crapping on Travis connecting. It's like, oh, he had some fractured ribs. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like somebody was playing with like a partially separated shoulder.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
I don't know how, I mean, if I had a partially separated shoulder, I would be like wincing getting up off the couch.
Yes, for sure.
And these guys are out there playing like
Yeah.
physical hockey. And if you had a shoulder injury and you're getting slammed into the board, particularly if you're a defenseman going back there to retrieve a puck and you're getting nailed by guys,
That's right.
like that's got to just be ridiculous. But they finish. I mean, they're tough as nails guys, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, again, McKinnon sort of hobbled through the third period. And I mean, it's got to be disheartening. It's the same thing when you saw McDavid in Game 6 against Anaheim, right? Like
Yeah.
he knows he's got a fractured foot.
Yeah.
He's playing on it, and he's sitting there going like, at some point in the third period when you're down by 3 goals,
Yeah.
or when Anaheim's coming on, and you're going like, you know what? Even if I win this series, I got to go against Vegas
Yeah.
and Jack Eichel for 6, 7 games.
Yeah.
Then if we manage to get myself and my broken foot through that, I've got to go up against what would have been perceived to be Colorado.
Yeah.
Like at some point you say, you know what, I gotta like I just wonder if like Makar and McKinnon in that third period, like particularly after Hurdle scored, you're kind of going, man, like we got 7 minutes left. We
Yeah.
can push and try and score, but like if we don't, like we're down 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the game's like tonight. Like,
Yeah.
are they going to have anything to really give? Because if they win, it's like, okay, it's 3-1, great, we're going home.
Yeah.
Like they got to win 2 games in Vegas now and win 2 at home, win 4 in a row. I mean, they were good enough all year. I mean, by Christmas, they'd only lost 2 games in regulation. So
Well,
it's possible for them. But I mean, Vegas is also, I mean, Vegas seems to be like on a roll.
they're
Like,
trucking along. Yeah.
and I mean, they don't have, I mean, Stone's back. Stone doesn't look completely healthy, but they're relatively healthy, I think, compared to Colorado.
Oh,
And that's quite often.
I'm sure Stone is injured, but he's a leader. So, that's great. So, yeah.
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 So, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to sort of see what ends up happening with, I mean, I think Vegas probably closes it out tonight. And then we're going to be in the scenario that Carolina found themselves in, where you'll be going into a Stanley Cup and Vegas is going to have like 10 days off.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so it yeah, it's remarkable that they couldn't close out this game on a 3-0 lead. But anyways, I mean, history, there are so many series where teams are down 3-0 and they do win. The losing team does win the next game or even 2 games, but then they get
Yeah.
closed out, right? Like it is too
Well,
much of a hurdle.
Pittsburgh, Philadelphia earlier in the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
Philly
yeah.
was up 3-0. Pittsburgh
Yeah.
comes back, wins game 4, goes home, wins game 5, and then can't win game 6. And I mean,
Yeah.
that could happen. Colorado wins tonight. They go back, they win at home. Vegas
Yeah.
comes back, wins game 6.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Foley would probably like that because it would be another playoff date.
Yeah, but you need McKinnon at least at 90%. You can't have him hobbling around because then he's useless. He's not actually a good player. And so yeah, Cal McCarr at 80% is still better than nothing, but still.
During the game there, they were sitting there saying like it looked like McKinnon wasn't on the bench to start the third period. He comes back onto the bench, and it's like they were talking about whether Bednar's just going to throw him out for the power play, and they're saying, well, you can't really do that because then he's not getting into the flow, and the longer he sits on the bench, like if he's on the bench, you have to throw him out there just so whatever he's got going on with his lower body doesn't seize up. So I mean, if he's only 60%, it'll be similar to watching McDavid against Anaheim.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he'll be there gutting it out. And I mean, 60% of McKinnon is probably right now, that's probably better than a fully healthy Nelson and Kadri, which is you wouldn't, I mean, you acquired those guys thinking that they would be able to elevate their games.
Right.
And I mean, they haven't been horrible, but they haven't been scoring. I mean, Nelson seems like he's snake bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's tough. I mean, but we've got to get ready for Vegas against somebody in the Cup.
Yeah, Vegas.
Can you imagine that? This is their 9th season. This will be their 3rd Stanley Cup appearance in 9 seasons.
Yeah, well, anyways.
That's 3 more than the Leafs have had in the last 59 years.
Well, the Leafs
Is there
deserve-
have you heard anything? I mean, I know I posited this idea of a Diamond Jubilee Leafs jersey for next year. You haven't heard anything about that?
So
Like the same people who did all the 50-year Blue Jay merchandising could turn their attention to 60 years since a Cup merchandising for the Leafs.
So, the Leafs deserve all the vitriol that they receive because they are the ones who, because they have corporate owners, are absolutely paranoid and desirous of securing their annual annuity. That's what it is. I mean, year in, year out, they make a couple hundred or a few $100 million without blinking. And that's what they want. Like a $625 million expansion fee works out to nothing for the Leafs. It's a rounding error. To receive $25 million for a new team to come in is bizarrely low for the Leafs. For Arizona Coyotes, it meant something. For the Leafs, it meant nothing. So for the Leafs to allow that to happen and allow an expansion draft to happen and to allow a salary cap to happen, the Leafs are, standalone. Like it's like saying the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees have their own television station. They have their $1 billion plus stadium. And so it would be like the New York Yankees saying, Kansas City Royals and Baltimore Orioles, we don't want to swamp them. We want to make sure that there's a level playing field. So therefore, we're going to have a hard salary cap that they can reach. That's what would have to happen. And the Yankees would never
Well,
do that. So the Yankees
no,
try to win. And the
you
Leafs have decided, no, we're just going to give ourselves a flat cap and we're going to try to lull the idiots like myself with the fact that the Sports Science Center spends a lot of money, so you can make terrible mistakes with your sports science department. And whether you spend 5 million per year or 20 million, that doesn't matter. Right. So anyways, it's the
well,
Leafs are absolute idiots for agreeing to a salary cap like this. The truth is, their entire fandom would run down Young Street naked if they ever won, even if it was a 12-team league. It means
well,
nothing that it's a 32-team league. If we won the 12-team league because a lot of teams wouldn't be able to handle it, we would be so happy as their fandom. But instead, they want their annual annuity, hundreds of millions of dollars a year without even blinking. And they have a salary cap in order to be akin to the New York Yankees playing down to the level of Kansas City and Baltimore. The New York Yankees would never do it. The Leafs have done it.
the visual of a bunch of naked Leafs fans running down Young Street is not creating in me a desire to see the Leafs ever win a cup. So thank you for reinforcing why I do not want the Leafs to win a cup. But it's unfair, I think, to say that the Leafs allowed this. I think it's the owners. Major League Baseball has allowed it to get to the state that it's at because the other owners have allowed it. So the Baltimores, the Kansas Cities, the Tampas, the Pittsburghs, Tampa's maybe not the best example because they seem to be able to turn a minor league budget into a major league team every single year. But all these other teams, the owners allow the situation to be what it is because they're putting the money in their pockets and they're not reinvesting in their teams. The owners in the NHL came together. It's not like Toronto said, "Hey, we've got a proposal. Why don't we even the playing field?" I'm sure the other owners said, "Hey, we can't compete with Toronto, Detroit, the Rangers, Chicago on a sort of revenue generation basis. So we need to have, if we want to have a league that's everybody has a chance to win, this
Why
is what
would
we
you
have to
want
do."
that? Why would you want that?
So no, my question to you, no, just a sec. My question to you was, you guys just enjoyed 10 years of a team that had apparently a Stanley Cup window open to it. And you're going to sit there and blame, oh, it's because the league didn't allow us to just pay whoever the F we wanted to come in and join these guys, as opposed to saying, hey, we managed within this structure to build a relatively successful team, and our players fell short. Our coaching staff fell short. Why are you blaming like the fact that everybody wants to have maybe a anybody can win kind of league? You just want to have four teams that are competing and spending as much money as they want because they happen to be the biggest cities in the world with all the corporate money.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. That is my point. In fact, the Leafs should be holding the entire league ransom and say, if you don't
oh,
want this, no
Jesus.
problem. We will create a super league. Because
Oh,
if the goal for the Leafs is to make money, the irony, and this is true irony, this is not Alanis Morissette 10,000 spoons. The irony is this: the amount of money the Leaf corporate structure would see would far eclipse their wildest dreams if they ever won. And I'm talking about winning in an 8-team NHL, a 10-team NHL. Just get rid of the St. Louis and everybody else. It really doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. You would have the ability, allow me just to finish this, 82 games a year, regular season, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. You would pack the Sky Dome. You could put the ice rink there. You would pack the Scotiabank, an empty rink just watching on the screen. And you would have the outdoor Blue Jay Skyway, the road, filled with an outdoor party for every regular season game if you won the cup. The merchandise would be beyond control. You would have every public school renamed, Austin Matthews, PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This, if they want money, this is the way to get it. And it is wonderful because if you won 3 out of 6 years, 3 out of 8 years in an 8-team league, you would have constant partying in Leafdom. And yet here we are in a 32 team league playing to the level of the Arizona Coyotes, which is bizarre on every level. You don't need 32 teams. If you need to, create your own Super League. The Leaf fans will follow. We don't care about St. Louis. It doesn't matter to us. We would like to win once.
Okay. So a few things. First question is your birthday February 29th? Are you born on February 29th?
No, no, of course not.
No, because that would make sense to me because I felt like I was just listening to like a 14-year-old boy talk about his dream for the Leafs trying to win a cup. Secondly, secondly, you're fantasizing about a bunch of elementary schools being renamed after an American from Arizona because he wins a hockey championship in some artificial world based on a league that is slanted towards his success when he was unable to do so when he was on a fairly decent team that already had some advantages stacked towards them, and he was not able to win that. So you want to reward this American from Scottsdale with renaming Canadian elementary schools after him because he wins a hockey championship.
Absolutely.
And but would you really you're so desperate for the Leafs to win that you would like reimagine the league so it's set up in a way so that the Leafs have an optimal chance to win, as opposed to let's go compete in a reasonable environment where everybody has a chance to win. I mean, you guys are already being gifted a first round pick for like the second time in 10 years after you don't make the playoffs for the second time in 10 years. And there's teams in the league who have never had a first pick, Vancouver being one of them. And you're being given a guy who 3 years ago, this 2026 draft was called the McKenna draft. And you're now being gifted that player. I'm not saying that Gary Bettman did anything sneaky with the lottery ball streaming past the Winnipeg Jets ball, but you're being gifted a guy who the draft was named after. Before I was so rudely interrupted, purportedly by Zoom, but I don't. It seems to me that it's fantastical to me that you would want to create an 8 team super team league that was designed to help the Toronto Maple Leafs win a Stanley Cup because they're not able to win it on their own merits, even when they had a team that was like in a position where they could have. They just either weren't managed well enough or the players didn't perform well enough. They ran into buzzsaws. I mean, for 6 years, they were running into Tampa and Florida, like two Florida teams that were stacked, and the players played really well. Now, one year, I know Toronto ran into like the vaunted Columbus Blue Jackets, so things can come out of nowhere. But that was a learning curve that they presumably should have taken with them. They just weren't able to get over the hump. It's not the end of the world, but you don't need to design an entire league. The parameters that exist, the Leafs have been able to be relatively successful in. They haven't just won the ultimate prize or the conference final prize or the conference semifinal prize.
Completely unconvincing, but I will say just this, and I don't think I can change your mind, except perhaps I will. So in my mind, there are only two possible objectives with this entire venture. One is to win. I mean, that's it. And then the second one is to make money. And so what I'm saying is this. I'm saying that the current absolute coward corporate ownership is choosing to make money because it's an annuity. They make 200 million, 250, 300 million dollars. They clear it. And that's good for their executive bonuses and that's good for the shareholders. But what I'm saying is this. Everybody else, all the fans, and the Leafs have got a fandom which is 10 times bigger than the bottom 20, 25 teams in the league. So, like, Toronto is the cup and the coffee and the stir stick that stirs everything. So the fans want to win. So what I'm saying is this. The irony is that the corporate cowards could actually have their desire, which is make money, and also satisfy the fans' desire, which is to win if they just won. And they could actually make just as much, if not more money, if it was a stupid 8 team league or a 12 team league. And the beauty of it is this. If it came down to 12 or 16 teams, because, I don't know, St. Louis couldn't hang for a little while, all you need to do is just keep on going, and eventually you'll be able to get another $600 million Seattle entry, another 600 million St. Louis entry, another 600 million Florida entry. But it is bizarre, ridiculous, and frankly, malpractice. It's just cowardice that you allow all of these non-hockey markets with no budget, nothing that even compares to yours, while you charge us $300 a seat on a Tuesday night, and you don't win. So, anyways, those are the two objectives. One is win, the second is make money. The Leafs have chosen that, but because of their stupid, myopic view, they don't see they could have both, and they can have both.
Well,
We are the only team. We are the only team that could sell out an 80,000 person stadium every night for 82 games.
Not at $300 a ticket, but anyway.
No. You're right. You're right. But we could sell out 80,000
No, but that's
a night.
so. But the money making and the winning.
You know I'm correct.
No, you're completely wrong. The money making and the winning are two completely different things. And you're griping because your team was in a position, was well positioned to, within the current structure, win a cup. They did not do so. They didn't do so because they were charging you $300 a ticket and you guys were paying it. They didn't win it because their team, the players didn't perform. They couldn't get over the hump with teams that were better than them. And that isn't necessarily a money thing, unless you completely waive it and say, hey, you guys can bring in, when the Leafs could bring in whoever they wanted in the 80s and 90s, when the Detroits were doing it, when the Rangers were doing it, when they could bring in all that money, where were they? In the 90s, when they had Dougie Gilmore and Matt Sundin and Wendell Clark and all those magical teams that were effed over by Kerry Fraser, blah, blah, blah. Every single time when the Leafs had that structure in place where they could spend what they wanted, did they win?
I agree with you.
They did not win. So some of it is, like, again, it's management. Like, I like the idea that, hey, there's 32 teams out there that can all take different approaches to trying to win, and different teams. Like, there's a reason that we don't have repeat cup winners. It's hard to win the cup. Florida was the first team to do it since Pittsburgh did it. Pittsburgh was the first team to have done it since, like, was it Detroit had done it? Like, you don't see repeat cup winners because different teams can take different approaches to winning. The Canucks were on the cusp of winning in 2010, 2011, 2012. Then all of a sudden LA comes along with a bigger, heavier game in 2012, knocks them out. I like the fact that different teams can take different approaches, play the game a little bit differently, and let's see who wins. Who can put together the best roster? Who makes mistakes by trading their Stanley Cup goalie for a lesser product who makes more money, who's on the books for longer? Like, so Edmonton on the cusp, 2 years in a row, trades their goalie who got them there 2 years in a row for a guy who has a pedigree, hadn't actually, I think, ever won anything, but they thought could get him over the hump. They made a mistake. So it comes down to team management. It's not necessarily money management. And the Leafs are going to make money anyways. I mean, like, the corporate greed has nothing to do with, it's not like they're taking that $300 a ticket that you guys are spending and putting it into, like, maybe, are they putting into player development? Like, if they're putting into player development, then their freaking Marlies would be a better squad, and there'd be like 8 prospects knocking on the door to get up to replace some of the veterans who aren't performing.
But this is why what you're saying makes absolutely no sense. What you're saying is that the Leafs' financial heft, because we are so much bigger than everybody else. Okay? So you're saying not to use it because there's some sort of game with rules and a structure. And that game with the rules and the structure seems to make sense. And that allows Florida to win twice. And that allows Tampa to win twice. So if they can do it, then you should do it too. So you're missing deliberately my point entirely, which is this. The Leafs are bad at that game. But guess what? We don't actually have to play that game.
They were bad at the game when you, they were bad at the game. They were bad. No, they were bad at the game.
Team in the entire league that doesn't need to play with that game, that rule. We don't need that.
There's other teams that could do that too. The Rangers wouldn't need it. Chicago wouldn't. Okay. Philadelphia is a big market team. They wouldn't have to do that.
The Leafs, they're so small compared to us. Anyways, let them come into our Super League.
Let's pull down our collective, like, city pants and see who's got the biggest dick. Is that that's what you're basically saying?
Toronto
and let the biggest
is
dick
the behemoth that has decided to neuter itself because they want the annual annuity. Then they're agreeing with what you're saying, which is that the rules make sense.
No, the league has been trending this way for years. The Leafs deciding to. It's not. I doubt this was the Leafs' proposal, but the Leafs are going, hey, what's in the interest of the league? What's in the interest of growing hockey? What's because they're not able. They don't. You can't have the Leafs operate in isolation. Baseball is being ruined by. First of all, they were being ruined by the Yankees. Then now they're being ruined by the Dodgers. All these big teams. You watch what's going to happen in 2027. There's going to be a league-wide baseball lockout. It's going to be probably for the whole year because they've got to figure out how are they going to get their house back in order so that it's not five teams have a chance to win the World Series every year.
But
Every year there's an outrageous Toronto, who is a small dick team in MLB, despite being one of the bigger markets. They really compete? Could they compete with the LAs and New Yorks? They can't because of the stature of those two teams in terms of drawing free agents and things like that. They signed the Japanese guy this year, but
let's run with what you're saying
every
about
single
MLB.
year,
Let's
every
run with
single
it.
year you're gonna.
So you mentioned MLB. So my point is this. The New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers should keep on running with their natural advantage. I mean, they're 20 times bigger, 30 times bigger than Kansas City, plus Pittsburgh, plus Baltimore
Yeah.
combined. They should continue to run with that because they should be able to buy players. They should be able to dominate the league because their fan base is going nuts and handing over a small fortune every
And that
game.
and that is
And
so and that is so great.
if
Well,
the
first of all, it's
MLB,
not
if the
they're
MLB has to retract because of that, then the New York Yankees and LA Dodgers can rethink their strategy if they're making less money. I guarantee you they won't. Now the league may shrink, but the LA Dodgers and the New York Yankees will continue to make about the same, if not more, by winning.
the Dodgers and the
You
Yankees
agree with
are
me?
the Dodgers and the Yankees. I know I don't. The Dodgers and the Yankees are not living off the backs of their customers. You look at the gate revenue. The gate revenue for the NHL is the highest in the league or in the four major sports, like by a wide margin. The Dodgers and the Yankees have their comparative advantage. The comparative advantage for like the Dodgers is when they were on the verge of bankruptcy a couple years ago, they got a
Regional
huge
TV.
deal on
Regional TV.
the inclusion of their TV market revenue. They got to keep
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
So, but the Dodgers and the Yankees, that's the bulk of their revenue comes from TV and radio.
But it's exactly the same. It's either
But it's
TV or
not.
seats in the. They are behemoths because of their fan base.
Yeah,
And they should not
no,
give it up. According to you, they should give it up, but
and
that makes no sense.
I'm not saying they should give it.
You did say that. You
No,
said the
oh,
Leafs
stop.
would be happy
How
with the current system.
No, I'm saying the system exists that all the owners get together and say it. I'm saying that the owners in MLB are much greedier SOBs than the ones in the NHL. The ones in the NHL seem to actually want to compete and be able to win and say, hey, let's level the playing field to somewhat. The Leafs' comparative advantage is they have a huge pile of revenue that they could spend in coaches, player development.
Give me a
Absolutely.
break. Give me a break. All that development stuff means nothing. You got to buy
Yeah.
players. You know that.
Here's an idea: develop players.
No,
The same way
nobody
other
can
teams
develop
do.
players. Nobody can develop players. You just buy the best damn players, like the LA Dodgers, like the Yankees. You just have to buy them, and you make mistakes, and then
That's
you spend more.
Yeah, but you know what? Like
The LA
the Leafs,
Dodgers did not develop anyone.
the Leafs operated in that marketplace and they failed.
Yeah,
So
and
what makes you think that
the
they're going
Leafs
to
should continue
let's
to
have
fail.
50 years of shitty hockey where five teams can compete so that the Leafs can make as many mistakes as they want and try and correct them by buying as many players as they could, and then maybe they'll win a cup.
Conveniently, you are comparing the Harold Ballard years, which of course is ridiculous. You are not comparing the fact that the
The
Leafs
90s.
you
The
are not
90s.
you are not comparing the fact
The
that
90s were
now
not the Harold
the
Ballard
Leafs
years.
have a TV station that the Leafs now are charging beyond what they ever charged before. So their gate revenue is what, 5 times higher than the number 10th team? Like it's just ridiculous how much money they're making.
But your frustration seems to be more with how the Leafs are generating revenue. You aren't as
No. My frustration is we're playing to the level of the Ottawa Senators. A 1 million person city has the same budget cap as us. Arizona played in a 4,000 seat college
You're-
stadium.
You're ridiculous.
No, I'm absolutely correct. The Yankees and the Dodgers are doing it correctly, and the Leafs ought to do that. Yes, they should. If you have an advantage, you use it.
You watch what's going to. There's a reason there was a lockout in the 90s. Anyways, like you watch what's going to happen with Major League Baseball. There's going to be a massive correction in the way that baseball has been run.
There might be. And the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers ought to push the damn thing and in the new system maintain their natural bullying advantage. I'm not saying any of it is fair. I'm not. I'm saying they have a bully position, and they should use it because
Yeah.
the LA Dodgers are winning everything, and that's great for them. They should. Kansas City shouldn't even be in the league. Pittsburgh shouldn't be in the league. St. Louis shouldn't be in the league. Baltimore shouldn't be in the league.
Yeah, good luck dealing with the players' associations when you say, "Hi, we would like to take away 75% of your jobs so that the Leafs could win a cup." Maybe, probably not, because they're so ineffective at managing any system that they play under that they haven't won a cup since there was only 6 teams in the league at a time when you want to talk about advantages. Again, here's the advantage. You've got the priority to everybody in Southern Ontario and everybody else. If there's some guy named Gordie Howe in Saskatchewan who happens to end up in Detroit, oh, well, so be it. We should be able to win as many cups as we want because we got the priority. Oh, hi, and here's Montreal. We're okay. They can have the French speakers because we don't like the French speakers anyways. And then the two of us will battle for as many cups as possible, and everybody else who deigns to be part of our league can take whatever scraps we leave for them. Like,
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
the kind of league that you want, there's a reason that they got away from a 16 league is they needed to have more competition. They wanted to grow the game, wanted it to be competitive. I mean, I think the NHL is doing a very good job at creating some sort of competitive advantage. I mean, even in the environment we have, you look at, I think they had some, like, you looked at who the final four since 2020, the 2020 season, like in the Western Conference Finals, have included Edmonton, Colorado, Dallas, or Vegas. That's the 4 teams in the last 7 years have competed in the Western Conference Final. In the Eastern Conference Final, it's been Florida or Tampa, Carolina, and the Rangers made it one year, and Montreal's made it this year. So there's been like 9 teams that have made the conference finals, even in this position that we have. So what's happening is the teams that are run the best in the environment that we have are being successful, and the other teams are falling short. How do they catch up? Your solution is let's just let the rich team buy players and be, and if you're a poor team, we're just going to axe you and get rid of jobs.
I think you complain too much here. You are saying that the proper metric, that the proper standard ought to be running a team properly. For you, that somehow is the gold standard. And you are choosing to ignore the fact that
But the
that a
Leafs have
couple
lots
of
of money.
teams, that a couple of teams can actually buy themselves a better team. So you're saying that the LA Dodgers really shouldn't have this salary cap and luxury tax because that's improper. At the very
That's not what I'm
least,
saying.
at the very least, the Leafs should push for that system, which is a salary cap and then a luxury tax. And then the Leafs can blow their
For
brains out
for
and
all
then
we know,
become like the LA
for all we
Dodgers.
know, the Leafs are doing that, and the other owners are saying, "Screw you." And then they're kind of going like, "Are the Leafs going to pick up and go, oh, we'll go start our own Super League?" That's not going to happen. I mean, like Premiership soccer, European soccer tried to do that, and all the other teams in the leagues are going like, "What are you talking about? You can't. You're not going to be able to sit there and say, 'Hey, let's have a Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Manchester United, Man City. We're going to have a 16-team Super League, and all you other riffraff.'" I mean, they already kind of do that in a lot of these leagues, anyways.
They
With
do,
like so, that's. I mean, if you want to have a
which
league where
actually
it's like,
just
"Hey,
proves my point.
let's have relegation," it doesn't prove your point.
It does. Absolutely. I
How?
mean, you just proved my point. But anyways,
How does
so what you're
how does
saying
that
is
prove
you're saying
how
that
does that prove my
it
point?
feels
Your
good.
point.
It feels good that all the teams have to struggle and just do better under a set system. It doesn't feel good for anybody. If you have the heft, use it. If you're Arizona Coyotes, you shouldn't be in the league. That's it. That's it. That's a very fair and
Well,
that's a
then
very
let's get rid
valid
of the
metric.
draft lottery that gets
That's a very
manipulated so the
valid
Leafs can get
metric.
star players because they're incapable of developing talent. Like
Look,
the whole
I am
idea has been
conceding to you.
developing
I
talent.
am conceding to you that the Leafs have neither the management talent,
Yeah. So you're
management
saying, yeah,
capability, or the luck. But the Leafs have got something which is just way stronger than every other team in the league, which is money, and they should be using it. The LA Dodgers
so
do, the New
so
York Yankees do, the
let's
New York
let's
Yankees
let's
do,
let's
and they're
let's
not even
let's
that
yeah,
successful. But
let's
the New
let's
York
have the
Yankees put themselves, but the New York
geographically
Yankees put
advantaged
themselves,
teams win.
the New York Yankees put themselves in the conversation in most years. They blow their brains out, they waste hundreds of millions of dollars, but they keep themselves in the conversation, and
And
occasionally
they
they
and
win.
they haven't won since 2009.
I know, but it's only 2009. So that's 20 years ago. That's fantastic. The LA Dodgers have won a whole bunch. Do you think the New York
The Leafs have had windows of contention. They just haven't managed to get over the hump
Your
because
argument is inconsistent internally.
oh,
Anyways,
well, your argument is that of like a 10-year-old boy who wants to see his team win a cup and wants to run naked down Yonge Street.
it is
I would suggest to you that you just get naked and run down Yonge Street so you can enjoy that experience. And if
it
you're
is
drunk enough, you can pretend the Leafs won a cup.
it is not juvenile to say that the goal of the team ought to be to win and to do everything possible to win, including skew the rules towards your favor. because the small teams have skewed the rules in their favor. Get rid of the small teams. Anyways, and I know
I think
super.
that the title of this episode should be called Greg Chang endorses bullying.
Absolutely. If you say the LA Dodgers are bullying, then, I'll be interested to see who argues against them bullying. It's excellence what they're doing, but they're buying the best players. Are they not? Are they just very well managed?
So here's what I would say.
Shohei is just a developed player.
I'm going to
$700 million.
just stop for a second. One of the best franchises in terms of developing talent are the Dodgers. They spend their money on their AAA, their AA, their single A, on bringing in international. They go out, they identify talent when they're 16, 17-year-olds in Latin America. They sign them to contracts, they bring them up, they nurture them along. Part of the problem with the Dodgers is they've got a wealth of talent sitting in their minor leagues that they don't have spaces for because they go out and buy all these players. They could be winning just with those players, but they develop.
Are they in the luxury tax? Yes or no?
So here's a difference. Like you're talking about the
it?
Yankees. The Yankees have prospects as well, but the Yankees have not won since 2009 because they're not developing players at the same rate that the Dodgers are developing players. They both have got huge pools of money. One is winning, one is not winning. And a lot of that is player development, which I think is what is the key. That's when I want my team should be winning because they develop the best players, they create the best team. It's not who buys the best team. The reason teams are frustrated with the Dodgers, the fans are frustrated with the Dodgers, is they're perceived to be just buying the best talent. The guy that made the amazing catch that defeated the Toronto Blue Jays, Andy Pages, was brought up through their system. He was identified, he was developed, and now he's like a legend for the Dodgers because of an amazing catch that deprived Toronto of its World Series.
Yeah, but one player out of 30 doesn't move the needle. Anyways, the LA Dodgers are into the luxury tax. Nothing you've said has actually addressed my argument. They are the bullies of the league, and good for them, because to accept your argument would mean that all the LA Dodgers fans would have to then accept, no, it's not fair. We have to play on the same field as the KC team, as the Pittsburgh team, as the Baltimore team. No way.
And I would sit there and say the Dodgers would probably be winning because of the way that they've structured their development system.
Oh, come on.
And who they're bringing in.
Come on. That doesn't even make sense. You look at their payroll. That doesn't make sense. I don't even know baseball, and I know that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But once again, my recommendation would be that for Greg, the bully champion, to get naked and run down Yonge Street.
Anyways, my ranting is just ranting because the Leafs are not going to change. They suck, and their management sucks. So, there you go.
I don't know. I think John Chayka is going to do a wonderful job.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And by the way, congratulations on learning how to pronounce his name in 2 weeks. Yeah, that was fantastic.
John Chayka, I tell you. Yeah, how long? So you think 2 years? I think,
For what?
I think you're right. His tenure. 2 years. I think it'd be too embarrassing to get rid of him a few months in. So,
well, no, his tenure will be the same sort of as Stan Bowman's, is if the same way that it's ended up sort of costing Alvin his job here in Vancouver.
Right.
If they end up losing Matthews for nothing, or having to trade Matthews and getting back what seemed to be a lesser package than what Minnesota gave up for Quinn Hughes, then they'll let him do that, and then they'll bring somebody in fresh. The same way they're going to do the same thing with Bowman. Like, they'll let Bowman ride out this McDavid tenure, figure out what the solution is, and then when he's not able to either re-sign McDavid or get a really good package back for him, they'll say, thanks, Dan. Thank you for your service, and we'll move on.
Yeah, well said. I think you're correct.
Yep.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay. Awesome. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Dads Who Talk podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe, and you can catch us on Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. We look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.